Good morning, all. This is the Nevada Hazards Mitigation Working Group. We'll go to agenda item number 1 with the roll call. Mr. O'Brien.
Okay, roll call as follows. Bill Elliott,
Present.
Andrew Trelease, Stephen Acroft, Eric Antel,
Present.
Salome Barton,
Present.
Danielle Allen, Kathy Canfield,
Here.
Sherry Davis, Rich Kaler,
Yeah, here, present.
Don Johnson,
Present.
Sarah Sampson, Sarah Fickner, Star Albert.
Present.
So,
Can we double check with Sierra because she is on there?
Sierra, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Sorry.
That's okay. Sierra Sampson.
Present.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, we have quorum. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll close out agenda item number 1 and we'll go to agenda item number 2, public comment. This is for discussion only. No action may be taken upon matters raised under this item of the agenda until the matter itself has been specifically included on the agenda as an item upon which action may be taken. Public comments may be limited to 3 minutes per person at the discretion of the chair. Comments will not be restricted based on viewpoint. To provide testimony during the period of public comment via telephone, please call at any time after 8:30 a.m. on the day of the meeting by dialing 669-219-2599. When prompted to provide the meeting ID, please enter 686-738-8625 and then press the pound key. When prompted for a participant ID, please press pound. When asked to provide public comment, please press 6 to unmute your phone and then please press *6 to unmute your phone and *6 again when your comments are complete. Please be advised that the YouTube stream will be between 60 and 90 seconds behind the live meeting. If you'd like to present a public comment, please call in using the above number to hear the meeting live. Okay, do we have any public comment in Carson City? Hearing none. Any comments from the members online? Hearing none. And are there any comments on the phone?
No.
No comments on the phone. We'll close out agenda item number 2, and we'll go to agenda item number 3, approval of minutes. This is for discussion and possible action. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Andrew Trelease, I'll move to approve the minutes.
We have an approval, and do we have a second?
Salome Barton, second.
Thank you, Salome. We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Approval of the minutes for September 18th, 2024.
Can we go back? Grab.
Sure. We'll go back to roll call. Are there a few more people that have come in?
Just identify.
Maybe
Andrew Trelease, I had a Zoom update, so I was a little bit late, so I'm here now.
any others?
Steve Acroft joined a couple minutes late also. Thank you.
Okay. All right, that's it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. We'll close out agenda item number 3 and we'll go to agenda item 4. Community focus Lincoln County hazard presentation. This is for discussion only. Eric Holt. Please, Mr. Holt, go ahead with your presentation.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to present here. How were you going to be able to show that the PowerPoint, or should I just?
Yes,
Okay,
we're working.
give you just a minute to, yeah, I'll give you a minute to get that pulled up.
Yes.
Okay, I see it there.
Something.
So yeah, I'm happy to present on Lincoln County and the hazards that we face here and some of the things that we've done to work towards mitigation and some of the things that we're still need to be reviewed and done. So first off, just give you a little brief on Lincoln County. So we are on the southeast corner of the state, just above Clark County, and we are adjacent to the Utah-Nevada border. If you go to the next slide, please. So Lincoln County, the 2020 census says that Lincoln County is a population of 4,499 population, but we feel like they didn't capture that very well here in the rural Nevada. So it's closer to 5,000 to 5,200 is our population, which is still less than one person per square mile at 10,637 square miles of high desert. Most of it's unpopulated public lands. The county seat is in the town of Pioche. So our county courthouse is in Pioche, Nevada. Lincoln County has 5 state parks and is a busy recreation area and has a lot of rich cultural heritage here. It's made up of 4 towns and cities, or 4 major towns and cities, we would call it, and then some additional outlying populated areas. So the 4 towns and cities that we have here is Pioche being the county seat, the town of Alamo and Hyco in the southwestern part of our county, and then the town of Panaca and the city of Caliente. In addition to those areas, we have Rachel, which is out north of the Tonopah Test Range, the national security site, and then Ursine, Mount Wilson, and McDermott are all outlying populated areas that we deal with wildland urban interface and those kinds of things. So if you'll go to the next slide, please. The hazards and challenges that we face here in Lincoln County are similar to those hazards and challenges that are in other parts of the state, but in some ways they're unique. We're spread out across a very large area with a lot of empty or desolate land between each town. So response times can be a challenge, and getting volunteers and resources to those areas can be tough. But we make it work. Our number one concerning hazard in Lincoln County is wildland fire. Being in the high desert, we have a lot of pinyon juniper, sagebrush, and a lot of our towns or rural outlying areas are faced right up to the wildland urban interface. So due to high fuel loading and probability of wildland fire, that ranks that hazard at the top of the list for us. And then some other concerning potential hazards that we face are flooding, winter storms, earthquakes, long-term power outages, along with others not mentioned here, but hazmat situations, that kind of thing. The area receives a good amount of snow and rain each year, and so that often results in flooding and runoff. And it doesn't take much to affect the local economy or supply chain here. If we have a lot of like one way in, one way out type access. So if roads get cut off and things like that, it can affect our supply chain pretty quickly. And then our resources get depleted pretty quickly as well. So those are kind of the challenges we face. But the community is fairly resilient, and people do step in and help where they can. So if you go to the next slide. Some of the hazard mitigation efforts that we've been working on are additional fuel reduction and fuel breaks in some of our higher fire risk areas. So we've been focused on trying to put in fuel breaks and fuel reduction projects. Also, we've been working on adding backup generators at our critical facilities in the county. So over the last 6 years, we've installed 3 backup generators, one at our sheriff's office 911 dispatch center, one in Alamo at the fire and EMS station, and another one at the Pioche fire and EMS station. So those are things that we've been working on, that we've completed. And next slide. So I just got some pictures of some of the areas and some of the wildland fires and other threats and hazards that we have dealt with in the past. So this was the Pioche fire back in 2005, I believe. Next slide. So just some resources, air resources, and water resources that have responded to help with fire suppression. Next slide. Again, this is the picture on the left is of the Pioche fire. So Lincoln County Fire District was actually formed out of necessity because of that big Pioche fire in 2005. And then it took the county and commissioners a couple of years to get it all organized and put together. But Lincoln County Fire District was organized in 2008. And then on the right is some pictures from some of the outlying urban interface rural areas that we deal with as well. Ursine. Next slide, please. So this is a picture of the Lincoln County Courthouse in Pioche, and above that you can see the mountains up above, and there's 2 rows there cut in the mountain that was a fuel break and fuel reduction for the power lines and critical infrastructure and power coming into the town of Pioche. Next slide, please. Here we have the flooding in the city of Caliani. So the city of Caliani is often a challenge because it's the channelway from 2 major range and basin runoffs, and so it gets hit from 2 directions, and then it runs into a big creek or channel that runs through town, and so that can sometimes be a challenge in flood seasons. We've seen some pretty major flooding in the city of Caliani in the past. And so those are things I know we've done several projects down there that in an effort to mitigate flooding in Caliente. Next slide, please. So this is a picture of the old Thompson Opera House and the Gem Theater in Pioche. And we had some major wind damage that blew one of the roofs completely off the building. So just, other types of hazards there. Also blew some power lines down. You can see it in the picture on the right, the power lines leaned over and blown over. So yeah, I mean, we deal with all the same hazards and stuff as most areas, just in a little our own unique way. But if you go to the next slide. So some of the other mitigation efforts that we still need to work on is wildland fire and defensible space, public education. So do some public education outreach on defensible space and wildfire and fire breaks and those kinds of things. We also are looking at opportunities to clear drainages or retention basins that are prone to impacting flooding. Also looking at assessing the local dams and inundation maps for potential flooding areas and opportunities to address any mitigation there. And then also seek additional funding for those projects. Next slide, please. So in conclusion, our priorities are to protect public safety, prepare for future events, and minimize damage to property and assets in Lincoln County, to leverage resources and minimize duplication of efforts, and to increase agency coordination and funding, and then just reduce impacts and expenses through mitigation projects. So that's kind of what we're working on in Lincoln County. And I guess I'll take any questions or comments.
So Eric, this is Bill Elliott for the record. I was surprised to not see all those space aliens that are there and those who want to see them.
You gotta come visit us to see that.
Okay, do we have any questions from the group? Okay, we have Andrew, Mr. Trelease, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. I was just curious as to where the majority of the funding comes from, any of the mitigation efforts that you would do for, especially I guess for flood and wildfire.
So right now, we have been working with NDF, the state forestry, to assist with some of the grants that we're looking at. To my understanding, there's quite a bit of fuels mitigation funding right now that's opening up, and so over the next 5 or so years, I think there's going to be a pretty significant amount of funding available for fuel reduction. I know the state has some grant funds and stuff that they've been working on some projects here locally too, and then we match that and use some of our fire district and tax-based funds for some of it as well. So,
Do you have a prioritization plan for what you would do with the money in like an order of most critical areas that you'd want to protect?
Yeah. So we do so we just did an update on our hazard mitigation plan, which helps us identify, our number one priorities and high, mid to low. And so, yeah, we would kind of base it off of that and local knowledge, but yeah, we do have a priority plan.
Right. Thank you.
You bet. Thanks for the questions.
So just a reminder, if you have a question or if you have a comment, please say for the record. Mr. Antle, you have your hand up.
Thanks, Bill. Eric Antel for the record, with the Nevada Division of Forestry. Eric, thanks for the presentation. And then Andrew, a pretty good lead in. I had kind of the same questions have the priorities have your projects been prioritized? It sounds like they are. I know that we've done a community assessment tool in Lincoln County in conjunction with the state and the county. So this offers a good opportunity, and I know that the NDF has been working with DEM and Janelle to try to introduce the Healthy Forest Restoration Act, or the HEFRA requirements from a Community Wildfire Protection Plan, or CWPP, into the hazard mitigation plan to address wildfires. And when we do this successfully in collaboration, this will introduce new funding capacities within the federal government. So with BLM and the Forest Service, which I think you're, Eric, correct me if I'm wrong, a large landowner next to your county is BLM, that could fund opportunities to address each one of these priorities that you identified in your hazard mitigation plan. The recommendation would be to have a CWPP, or Community Wildfire Protection Plan, for the county, and then each individual community, if needed or desired, if the hazard is dramatically different, or one may be in a range or whatnot, to that way capture that type of treatment that is needed. But this is a great opportunity, looking at your presentation of how are you going to fund these projects? How are you truly going to mitigate and implement change? And this is as long as we capture these goals and use collaboration, there is millions of dollars of funding that is available to the county. So I would like to extend an open hand to you, Eric, and your office to work with forestry and the Fire Adapt in Nevada, and we could help you with all of those. So I think you have my contact. If not, then I could share it with you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Eric. We do have your contact, and I would appreciate, your support and input on it. I know we're extremely close to having our CWPP completed. It's just, I'm an office of one, so I have very little backup support or extra personnel, but so my time gets spread thin between priority projects and grant stuff and reimbursements and whatnot. So, but we'll make that a priority and a focus to try and finish that CWPP plan and integrate that and adopt it into our hazard mitigation plan, so that we can work with you guys on that.
Ms. Bill Elliott, for the record, any more questions or comments? Ms. Woodward.
So, thanks. This is Steve Acroth. Thanks for the presentation, Eric. Just wanted to ask a quick question. I know there was talk of a biofuel, changing the juniper, pinyon pines into doing some sort of biofuel project. Will that assist in some of that mitigation? This is probably years off, but just kind of curious what the status of that is.
Yeah, so you're referring to the 6Co project that is looking at moving in here to do biofuel stuff with pinyon juniper. It'll help in areas. The area that they're going to implement, I guess, wouldn't be, say, one of my priority areas, but there is a significant amount of fuel loading in that area. And so, overall, the grand scheme, it will help, but not necessarily affect our priority areas, if that answers your question.
Yep. Thank you.
Ms. Woodward.
Hey, Eric, thanks so much for your presentation. It was great information. And we appreciate you being willing to make that presentation to the committee. I was wondering about your listing out your backup generators that you want for your critical infrastructure. Is that something that the county is able to handle basically on their own, or would there be interest in grant funding for that?
So the three that I listed were things that we already completed. There are a couple others that we still need to do. But the two of them, one of them was done just prior to me coming into this position, and I'm not certain. I think it was grant funded through maybe EPWG, but I know the other two were EPWG funds.
Okay, that's great. I just wanted, and Janelle Woodward, I forgot to say that for the record. Again, I just wanted to reiterate that there is funding available through mitigation as well for backup generators for critical infrastructure. So if that's something that becomes of interest, we do have the BRIC program, the Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities grant program. The Notice of Funding Opportunity, or NOFO, has not dropped yet, but we are waiting on that. We're doing some training that's going to be listed on our website soon. And we're doing that weekly training. Also, HMGP post-fire funding that will also do that. And then thirdly, there is that legislative pre-disaster mitigation that goes, it's applied to through the our elected leaders for Congress. And they take all those requests and go back and basically decide what projects they're going to fund to spread out throughout the country. And that's leftover funding that's been deobligated, that type of thing. They still refer to it as an earmark, but it's not the old-fashioned earmark where they tuck it into a bill. This is actually just using money, mitigation funding that's been deobligated and left over from projects. So that's something to keep in mind as well. I know that Clark County Rural Fire has, they received one this year, and it's, we're just waiting to go through the process here at DEM for the award for that. So it's totally possible to get something awarded through that process as well. So just want to make those things available to you. And any way that this working group can help in giving ideas and things that we can, you know, help you decide, you know, what type of project you could do to manage that hazard. We're happy to take that interaction from you. So please reach out anytime.
Awesome. Thank you, Janelle. And I appreciate that info. That does help. It's hard to understand and always know, you know, what's available and what's out there. So that's great information. Thank you.
Okay, any more, any other discussion or questions for Eric?
One comment, Dawn Johnson for the record. Just want to make sure, are you in contact with my counterpart in the Las Vegas National Weather Service office? His name would be Dan Burke.
Yeah, we're very familiar with Dan and have good communication with him. Yep. Thank you.
They can help with outreach and education when it comes to the flooding and wildfire hazards as well.
Yeah, they do a great job communicating with us during or before incidents or events. And yeah, we work with Dan quite often.
Very nice.
Hey, Eric, this is Janelle Woodward again. As far as the outreach and education, would that be something that you might be interested in, maybe us helping provide that for you? I know exactly how it is to be the one, you know, section of one. So
yeah, we'll take any help we can get. Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
Great.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, thank you, Eric. That was a great presentation. We'll go
Thank
to,
you.
we'll close out agenda item number 4 and go to agenda item 5, State Enhanced Hazard Mitigation Plan. Ms. Woodward.
Okay, Janelle Woodward for the record. We are in the first year of our plan update. So we have just a little bit of time, but I think that our next act in this is going to be determine who our subject matter experts are in each of the different hazard areas, and take a look at our current plan and look at those. We'll bring that information back to this working group, and get feedback from our members, and then try to enact those suggestions and feedback into the updates as we get ready for the next update that is due in 28. So we're not in a rush to do things, but we do want to kind of get started on that. And that's all I have for that plan update.
Okay, any questions for Ms. Woodward? Hearing and seeing none, we'll close out agenda item number 5, and we'll go to agenda item number 6. NHMWG meetings for 2025. This is for discussion only. Mr. O'Brien.
Yeah, we're currently working on the meetings for 2025. And we plan to have the invites out before the end of the year. So we'll be notified of that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
Okay. Also to, Shereen will be canceling the other meetings that were previously posted. And we will, as I stated, we will repost the new invites by that time frame that I mentioned in the year. Thank you.
Do we have any questions for Mr. O'Brien? Hearing none, we'll close out agenda item number 6, and we'll go to agenda item number 7. Future mitigation funding. This is for discussion only. We'll go to Ms. Woodward.
Thank you, Janelle Woodward, for the record. Just reiterating that we are doing the weekly training with our contractors for our BRIC and flood mitigation assistance FMA grant programs, as well as the HMGP post-fire funding that's available. The BRIC and FMA notice of funding opportunity has not dropped, as I mentioned before. We are waiting on Congress to get a budget to drop that NOFO. So the whole time frame is going to be extended. So if you might remember, if you were paying attention to this program at all, last year it was late as well. Typically in a normal year, the notice of funding opportunity for BRIC and FMA comes out in sometime in the month of August. And then the application period typically starts the very end of September, beginning of October, and runs through the time that the applications have to be into FEMA by the last week of January. Last year, it was late, and the NOFO came out in October, and they extended the application period to the end of February that it was due to FEMA. With this being the end of November, I've heard rumor that some people think maybe it'll come out in the next several weeks, which would put it into December, which is pretty late for the BRIC and FMA program, although we do have the preliminary information. Typically, FEMA keeps a secret of all of the notice of funding opportunities until they're released by FEMA. This year, we were able to get basic information from FEMA headquarters on the notice of funding opportunity for BRIC. And then about a month later, they came out with some basic information ahead of time for the FMA program. So we do have that initial basic information. We just don't have the full picture yet on those, but we did decide to go ahead and do these weekly trainings so that everybody could get started on their applications. We don't want everybody to have to, we're getting into the holidays. We don't want everybody to be trying to push when the people are taking time off work, other obligations. So we are pushing forward with that, looking to see the NOFO drop whenever things kind of settle down in headquarters area, assuming that they will settle down for a bit. And so those are the funding opportunities that we have available right now. And as I had mentioned before, with the legislative pre-disaster mitigation funding, which is also referred to as congressionally directed spending. So they use both names interchangeably. Those usually are applied for, and I think that the people from the counties probably have a little bit more vision on that, because usually it's around February, March-ish that the elected officials are reaching out and asking for your, I'm going to call it an application, but it's not really an application. It's a brief explanation of what you're interested in and what the cost would be, so that they can make their decisions. Once that's done, they notify FEMA regions as well as the states. And then we have to look at the actual application that has to be done. So if we know that counties, cities, jurisdictions are applying for this type of funding, we can help you get ready with that application along the way, so it's not such a hurdle for that 30-day application period, which sometimes it can be challenging to pull all that together. So that is an additional funding opportunity. And the better information that you give to our elected officials on there, the better chance you have of being chosen for one of those projects. And with that, I would say that is the funding that we have available right now. So any questions at all, please speak up. Please reach out to us. We're here to answer your questions and help along the way. And we do have a contractor that is helping with application development for BRIC and HMGP. So as I said, reach out. That's it.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for our state hazard mitigation officer? Seeing none, we'll close out agenda item number 7, and we'll go to agenda item 8, and that's public comment for discussion only. No action may be taken upon this matter raised under this item of the agenda until the matter itself has been specifically included on the agenda as an item upon which action may be taken. Public comments may be limited to 3 minutes per person at the discretion of the chair. Comments will not be restricted based on viewpoint. To provide testimony during this period of public comments via telephone, please call at any time after 8:30 a.m. on the day of the meeting by dialing 669-219-2599. When prompted to provide the meeting ID, please enter 689-738-8625 and then press pound. When prompted for a participant ID, please press pound. When asked to provide public comment, please press *6 to unmute your phone and *6 again when your comments are complete. Please be advised that the YouTube stream would be between 60 and 90 seconds behind the live meeting. If you'd like to present public comments, please call in using the above number to hear the meeting live. Do we have any public comments here in Carson City?
Hey, Bill, this is Sam from the AG's office. Sorry to interrupt, but one of the numbers was wrong on the meeting ID, so I'm just going to read it one more time. The meeting ID is 686-738-8625. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Sam. Sarah Albert, do you have a comment?
Yeah, hi everybody. This is Star Albert with State PHP. For the record, I just wanted to put a plug in, letting everybody know that we are in the process of planning our annual Nevada Rural Preparedness Summit. It will be held in Elko, Nevada on May 14th and 15th. And we are also working to get in a training on May 13th in partnership with the Rural Preparedness Domestic Consortium. So more details to come, but wanted to put a plug in for that for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. That's a wonderful conference. Any further comments? In the room, we have Lauren. Go ahead.
Lauren Borst, DEM for the record. In that cancellation of the old meetings after today, when Shireen sends out that cancellation, please be sure to remove it from your calendars. We have preset a repeatable model for 2025 for the quarterly meetings. So those new dates will be automatically generated in your calendar when you accept the new invitation. Also be advised that it will have a new Zoom meeting link number. So if for some reason you have memorized this meeting link and you have it down perfect, please take into consideration this will be a completely new number. So pay attention to those agendas, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. We have Richard, do you have a comment?
Yeah, hi everybody. I was just recently added to this group as a subject matter expert in earthquake from the Nevada Bureau of Mines and Geology, effectively replacing Craig DiPaolo. I just had a question and a clarification. Is the subject matter expert a voting member of this working group or not? And does the list of membership need to be updated?
Ms. Bill, for the record, yes, you are a voting member on this committee.
Okay, great. My name is.
And it does need to be updated. The list does need to be updated.
No problem. I just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, seeing none in Carson City. Do we have any on the phone lines?
No,
No comments on the phone lines. We will end agenda number 8 and we'll go to agenda number 9, adjournment for discussion or possible action. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Andrew Trelease, make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you. We have a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Sierra Sampson, second.
We have a second. Don Johnson. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. No nays. They don't want to stay. Okay, we stand adjourned.